All right, welcome back. We continue live right here. Ireland Contracting, Nightly Sports Call, where you make the call at 412-575-2600. Tweet us at KDPomp, at Gene Collier. Gene Collier has also just completed a comedy stint this past Saturday in downtown, and now he has another one coming up. It's going to be at the Mountaineer Racetrack and Gaming Resort down in West Virginia. Tell us about it. Yeah, I'm honored to be with Billy Gardell again. I've opened for him a number of times, and he's been nice enough to have me on this show, along with Penn Hill's Joey O'Connell. Those guys always do a great show, 8 o'clock at the Mountaineer. Thanks for mentioning it, Bob. So see Gene in person. If not, you can call him right now at the number you see. Yeah. So let's get right to it. We have a lot of people. Waylon in Washington first tonight. Hey, Waylon.
Hey, Bob. Hi, Gene. Hey, I like Mountaineer. I think it's fun down there.
Oh, good.
Yes, I really do. You know, dumb question, but like the Pirates got like a $70 million payroll. Do you think it has a lot to do with it? I mean, I love the players. I mean, I care about them. I root for them. But, like, they don't hit the ball. No, especially when people are on base. Thanks, Waylon. Gene, what's your take on the fact that it's a stunning number, really, 0 for 16 with the bases loaded. Yeah. You would think somebody would come in. And yesterday, Gung had a chance, left him. Polanco strikes out in the ninth. You got to come up with his food. Polanco's a little bit of a scratch head situation to me. Yeah, it is. It is. But really, I mean, you can get 2 hits accidentally and 16 times up with the bases loaded, but not if you're the Pirates. Does the payroll have something to do with it? Absolutely. Absolutely. It does. Line 3 we go. Bill and Nemacolin. Hey, Bill, welcome to the Sports Call.
Hi, how you guys doing tonight?
We're good. We're fine. Thank you.
One thing that really frustrates me about the Pirates, the last 4 or 5 years, all of the good players that Nutting wouldn't pay, we might have won a World Series by now. You know what? That's a terrible thing. I don't think the guy wants to win. He just wants to keep his head above water. But you know what? There's not hardly any fans at these games.
No, listen.
I think the Steelers did really good in the draft. As long as you're in the Steelers system, these guys will be fine. The Steelers know how to win. I'll let you talk.
Well, thank you for letting us talk. You know, the thing about the past is the past. We all know how it works. And at some point, you know what you have to deal with here. And it still is a roster that they have coming into the season, and they were going to know that it was going to be dealt. And if the pitching was as good as it could be, that should help them. And I thought the pitching would be consistently good, but the bullpen has been kind of erratic to me. The starting pitching has generally been good, but I think, again, after a while, you need run support just to get some guys some easy outings. There's never an easy outing right now. Yeah, for most of the first month, the starting pitching was not only good, it was great. And you're not going to continue to get that kind of starting pitching. The Pirates are overdue for a correction on that. Now, they've had a pretty severe correction in the last, the last week. But then at the same time, they're not hitting at all. And don't forget, they still screw up a lot in the field. That's a factor, too. That's how you lose 8 in a row. Yeah, that's all part of it, and we'll see what they do. They have a day off and in Texas tomorrow, but they got to get this thing turned around. Hitting is a key thing. I wonder where the power's coming from. They only have 21 home runs as a team. That's one of the worst totals in the game. Bell has 6. You got to come up with some bats in critical situations to make things different. Key hits at key times. They haven't been getting those. Let's go out to line 5. David in the South Side joins us right now on the Ireland Contracting Nightly Sports Call. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, thanks for taking my call.
Sure.
I just want to make a comment about the Steelers organization. They're a great organization. They treat their players well. Now that we get rid of those 2 drama queens, we can concentrate on winning a couple titles and bringing number 7 back to Pittsburgh.
Thanks, man. Appreciate the call. I will say this. I think, Gene, that they learned last year what they did, and we were talking about, oh, man, John Bostic's going to come in and play well. Oh, man, Morgan Burnett was in Green Bay. He's a good guy in their hybrid system they're trying. Those guys are gone. Bostic released on Saturday, I think it was. So now they learned not only did they sign guys, they drafted the same position, even though they hadn't signed guys, which is, to me, telling. Yeah, I think they went about it kind of in kind of a stopgap fashion. They were kind of hoping to get a good year out of Bostic and hoping to get a good year, out of the safety. But the Steelers haven't been really successful with other teams' players. I mean, they really struck gold with Hayden, but generally over the last
couple years, people they've picked up from other teams, they haven't been really good at evaluating those teams.
They have been staunch in their support of Bud Dupree.
Yeah, I know.
Do you like that, or do you think they should have gone out and drafted someone in that department also?
Yeah, I mean, I don't get Bud Dupree. I don't get what they see in him. They think he's improving steadily. I don't see it. I feel like he's Jarvis Jones.
Yeah, unfortunately, that would be back-to-back busts at that same position. They need him to really, and they bet $9 million this year that he's going to have a good year. Joe in Greensburg. Hey, Joe, welcome to the show. Go ahead.
Hi, how are you guys doing tonight?
We're well, thank you.
Yeah, so what do you guys think the Pirates need to do to start winning? I mean, Polanco, he's like a styrofoam cup in right field. He stinks. I just don't think our outfield is any good. So what do you guys think we can do at like a deadline or something?
No, I'm not even getting to the deadline. They got to get it together so they can become relevant in this division, which is a tough division. I will say that I think the Pirates built this team around core players like Marte and Polanco and Bell. Now, Bell had a bad year last year. He seems to have gotten his power stroke back, but still, Marte and Polanco, if they're not injured and they're not suspended or whatever, they're not necessarily doing what you'd expect them to do. Even though Marte's career numbers are okay, you want more out of him. He was supposed to be the guy who was the leader of this team, I think.
Well, sure you do, but I mean, if we could just take this back again to payroll, Marte and Polanco at their best are good players. They're not great players. It takes great players to win in baseball, and the Pirates they're not interested in paying great players.
Yeah, well, they have to at some point. Otherwise, what you see in the attendance is going to be, well, they do. And you look yesterday, we saw, and I'll beat this horse because we got to do it every time we see it, but Tyler Glasnow was a beast yesterday. He's now 5-0. He's got one of the lowest ERAs in all of baseball. He's striking out everyone. And he seems to do it now with swagger, which is something that was not very much in his game here. I looked hesitant, he looked lost, confused. I don't know. Change of scenery, change of strategy, whatever the case may be. The Pirates made a trade that most of us endorsed because they had finally given up prospects to get a guy with a resume, but Chris Archer did not deliver last year. So would you take a mulligan on that one if you were Neil Huntington, even though you can't do that in today's real world?
I don't know. Ron Cook had a good column on this today, the Archer trade. I still like the Archer trade, but I'm starting to question. it. I mean, we haven't really seen the results you want to see. I wouldn't get too excited about Tyler Glasnow just yet. I mean, he's pitching very well, and good luck to him. And he's striking out a lot of people, but everybody in baseball is striking out. The Tigers struck out 20 times yesterday.
No, I get that, but he seems very confident. He went against a very good Boston lineup yesterday and just tamed them. Now, you're right. We've seen guys who've had good years in the first half fall apart in the second. He's, but talent-wise, he's always had it. Now he seems to have put it together.
I always liked him. Yeah.
We got to take a break. We'll come back with more of your calls. It's 412-575-2600 right here on Pittsburgh CW.